Hello everybody, and yes, we are back with more Stellar Tactics. Well, sort of. This isn't like my usual Stellar Tactics videos because it's basically more of an update, seeing as the last Stellar Tactics video I did was over a year ago. And the reason for that is basically part of the story is you're having to go through the Enzari ruins to get scan data so you can find the next hub, and I was going to do that all off camera because there's only so many times where you can do that where it's interesting, and that's when the boredom really hit. I'm going to say first, I really like Stellar Tactics. It's a very fun game, but the combat in the Enzari ruins is very dry in my opinion. The Enzari ruins are also very lucrative, but it feels so tedious doing it that it's just like, I really didn't want to do it. So time passed, and at some point I was like, I should probably go and start the grind. So I started one level and decided I really don't want to do this. And so more time passed, and I eventually was like, you know what? I really just gotta sit down and do it. So for I think a couple days, I went and I grinded away at the Enzari ruin stuff. And then I got to a point where it's like, okay, now all I have to do is just, when I'm ready to do my next video on Stellar Tactics, all I have to do is just complete this one little thing and we can get on with the story. And even more time passed because, well, to say that I was busy doing other stuff would be kind of true, but at the same time I was like, kind of totally forgotten about it because of other stuff that I was doing. Which brings us to now, because it's also been I think a bit over a month now where I haven't uploaded a video, and that's because I was working on another video and I was getting nowhere with it because I could not stay focused for longer than a day working on it. And so it got to a point where I was like, well, I got to think of something to do because I can't just keep going on with this radio silence because it kind of feels awful doing. So I decided, you know what, let's just dust off Stellar Tactics, finish the whole grind up, and yeah, here we are now. So yeah, this video basically is an update to the story, where we are now. We got past all the Enzari ruin stuff, and now we're basically going through the gem place, going to talk to the gem people. At least I think that's how it's pronounced. I might be wrong. So yeah, without further ado, we'll get right into the story.
A crystalline object twirls, sparks flying, and a strange faraway sound fills the chamber. Tick, tick, tick.
Hello?
Humanoid, respiratory acoustic articulation, known variant. Welcome, we now have full mastery of your language. Are you ready?
Yes, but I have questions.
Questions, yes. You wish to gather data from GEM. Define data parameters. One query for each request. I have limited time in this parallel. I will proceed with the transference before queries can begin.
Gem fluctuates, a rainbow glow of moving light. A burst emanates from the object. You feel power run through you, this time familiar. The effect fades.
I grant you J and Zhao, the third and fourth azimuth. The ether will flow, granting you the power to speed your allies and slow your enemies. With this, basic azimuth is now possible. I will take your query. Time is short.
How does azimuth work?
Work, this can mean many things. Refine query, what does it do? Where does it come from? How do I use it?
What does it do?
Azimuth draws from power that manifests in the ether between dimensions. It is as it has always been, that from which all has been created. An essence that binds us all to time, a power we the gem, harnessed many iterations ago and still do not fully understand. Azimuth allows you to harvest the ether and unleash it, causing harm to your foes or aiding your friends. It is particularly damaging to the Gornath.
Where does azimuth come from?
A host must exist in multiple timelines to bridge parallel universes, allowing the flow of ether between dimensions. This is a convergence, a way to channel the flow of ether. In your case, we have identified multiple individuals across several parallels that have absorbed the energy of the pillars successfully. We believe this is related to your neural augmentation, and theirs. There have only been 3 such convergences, and the last 2 failed to defeat the Gornath. In this case, there are 4 individuals converging, spanning the broadest reach of ether transference we have ever seen. All factors indicate this may be the final junction.
How do I use azimuth?
Now that you have data for a full azimuth transference, you will begin collecting ether during your travels. Ether is harvested to the shard you carry in many ways. When traveling through FTL space, you will gather trace amounts. By collecting ether shards from Aznari ruins, you can charge azimuth incrementally. And when enemies are slain, especially the Gornath. The Gornath long ago found a way to bridge the ether. While they do not possess the power to harness it, they accumulate ether in their being. Destroying Gornath will recharge your azimuth faster than any other method. Once enough ether has been collected, you can unleash azimuth. Either a very powerful charge or multiple smaller charges of azimuth can be unleashed. You will know when it is time.
I don't understand. How will I know when it's time?
A surge of power, it will be obvious. I am out of time. Seek out other ruins like this one, remnants of the last junction. We will speak again.
The gem disappears.
Well, I have news. First, all of this is not what you might expect. I must say that I'm a bit torn between our current objectives here at Cronus and what this new data means for all of us.
What did you find?
A conundrum. First, let's discuss the schematic and data found in the box. The box itself is fascinating. Without spending a lot of time and resources evaluating the device, I will say the technology is beyond anything we are capable of generating. That is good. Why, you may ask? Because, on several occasions I had to seriously consider that we were being bamboozled by someone. Some of this is so off the charts that it is difficult to take it seriously. However, I am inclined to believe what you have discovered here is legitimate. The box contained both a schematic and details for building a device. This information in the wrong hands could have resulted in a war between various factions for control. Not just control over how to build the device, but a territory war to control resources across multiple sectors.
Territory war?
Yes, the various houses and factions have postured for many hundreds of years, resulting in the sovereignty carving up space and the rights to star systems. We all understand the various resources available in these systems. These resources are fixed. We know what they are and can quantify the value. This allows the sovereignty to draw lines, make agreements and keep territory wars under control. If Shikaru invade Helamis space, it is quite obvious that Shikaru are in the wrong.
I see. Set territories keep the peace.
Correct. However, if you insert a new and previously unknown resource into the mix, suddenly, all hell breaks loose.
What resource are you speaking of?
I'll get to that in a moment. First, let's talk about the schematic. The instructions are very clear. In fact, I believe the gem designed this schematic specifically for our level of technological knowledge. All of the components, down to fasteners, are stock items that can be found in any catalog. However, one resource, the most critical component, can only be found in Aznari ruins. That is, I believe that is the case.
I see. And what is this resource?
Ether shards. However, you did not ask the critical question. What is the device? It is a weapon of great power. An antimatter turret, not the kind of turret you would mount on a ship. No, this device is massive. It is designed to annihilate ships. You can think of it as a fixed turret emplacement that can protect entire star systems from a single enemy type, the Gornath.
So it's a gift from the gem.
Exactly. The engineering specifications, targeting analytics. Even the beam itself is specifically tuned to a frequency that allows the turret to identify, track and destroy Gornath ships from great distances. I'll need to evaluate the design further, however. I must speak with Ayla first. There are many variables here. Should we build a prototype? How do we test it? And, of course, beyond that, do we truly believe that there is even a threat of any kind? I am inclined to say yes. The Gornath are real.
Why do you say that?
Your recording. I analyzed it carefully. Your harness, that is your neural augmentation, is impeccable. I have worked with similar harnesses before, however, yours must be upgraded. We have auditory and visual channels that I have been able to decode. There is more data, however, I have never seen anything like it before. Regardless, I analyzed the visual channel and I believe the enemies you were fighting may have been phage.
Phage? That's impossible. The gem specifically stated that they were Gornath.
I said, believe. Of course I cannot be sure. At first glance, I see a massive horde of well-equipped enemies surrounding your position. Enhancing and zooming in on several areas shows many wearing clear masks with a green mist covering their faces. Several others had no masks and the telltale green eyes. What has me convinced that these are phage is a small segment of the recorded data where a larger enemy comes through the crowd and attacks you. At a point, the enemy turns around and I can see the spinal fistule, the green nodules along its spine.
Can you show me this enhanced imagery?
Certainly. A few things first. I will get in contact with Ayla and set up a meeting to go over the data we have collected. Before that, I'd like to ask a favor of you. The critical component, ether shards, are in short supply. I'd like you to meet with someone I know, an expert on the Aznari.
Of course.
He is known as the Collector. Let him know I sent you. I met him in person a long time ago at a conference and I'm sure he will remember me. Your goal is to find out if there are alternative sources of ether shards. Where do they come from? What are they made from? Are they a natural substance? A rare mineral? I want to be very clear. Do not share any of this information with him. We may need a large amount of the substance. The Collector does not need to know this. I will send you his coordinates.
Sounds good.
Good luck to you. I will be in touch soon with more information.
A particularly large cohort greets you with a friendly smile as you enter the room.
Welcome. I understand, Emily, that is Dr. Jensen sent you. It's been years since the two of us last spoke. My name is Cassius, also known as the Collector. How can I assist you today? Relics? Information? Perhaps a bit of core brandy?
Pleasure to meet you. We understand you're an expert in Aznari relics.
Indeed, and well known for my collection. I've spent my life collecting and cataloging various items from many a traveling soul. There is a market for the items, however. I am obsessed with their culture and strive to preserve these items for future generations. I have a vast database of notes related to the various items in my collection and hope to publish a series of hollows on the subject soon. I regularly lecture at various intellectual gatherings. Is your interest business? Or perhaps like me, a passionate collector of these fascinating items?
We run into these items fairly often in Aznari ruins.
I see. Well, you have come to the right place then, explorers, plumbing the depths of Aznari ruins. Have you brought me something new, something precious? Not many explorers left these days, unfortunately. Many of the ruins have been pillaged. So many precious artifacts were destroyed or lost. It seems many of your types discard relics if they have no tangible value. A horrible waste. I trust that Dr. Jensen sent you my way because you have an honorable interest in the Aznari.
I admit we have sold relics without knowing their true value.
Selling the relics isn't the issue. Other collectors like myself buy them and preserve them. We appreciate the business. It's rare these days to see eclectic items, the truly valuable items that expand our knowledge of the Aznari. The biggest problem is the destruction of the ruins by relic collectors. They are not archaeologists and regularly destroy items of value without knowing their significance. However, I digress. I could go on for hours complaining about a problem with no solution. The question I have is, what brings you here?
We would like to know more about Ansari ether shards.
Ether shards, I see. These items have always had value, even on the black market, cut and polished for jewelry mostly, adorning the wealthy. Fascinating conversation openers. They have very little value to collectors, I'm afraid. The shards themselves are plentiful but hold absolutely no archaeological value. However, there are some rare variants of the shards. Let me explain. The shards themselves are shattered remnants of Asnari ether relics. These items are exceedingly rare. To my knowledge, there are only a few of these in various collections. While inanimate, they do offer a clue to the original purpose of the intact relics. One of these relics was found in its original stand, which contained Asnari glyphs. It appears the relics were used by the Asnari to communicate with their god, the Jim. Recently, I've seen the value of ether shards go down significantly. It appears that raiders have found a way to manufacture them, so the entire market is flooded with fakes that are indistinguishable from the originals.
Raiders manufacturing ether shards?
Yes, it does seem odd, though they are known for manufacturing and distributing slice and other contraband. Do hear they have a new leader. Perhaps he is responsible.
I'm curious, where do they come from? Are they rare minerals of some kind?
That is a very good question, one I don't have an answer to. There is a lot of speculation. Some believe they were given to the Asnarl. There are no recorded discoveries of the shards or relics other than from Asnari ruins.
Well, thank you very much for the information.
Cassius looks you over, scanning your weapons and armor.
Certainly, you look like the type who can get things done. If I might ask, perhaps a mercenary or gun for hire? Forgive me, no insult intended. I ask for a reason.
We have been known to do odd jobs here and there.
Good. I'm looking for a crew who can help me track down and retrieve various artifacts that have fallen into nefarious hands. I hear of these odd jobs all the time. You know, friends of friends. Most of these are collectors seeking the return of stolen goods or black market items that have fallen in the wrong hands. Until now, I couldn't help. Perhaps you are a good match for that kind of work.
Yes, assuming the pay is right.
Of course, in most cases, there is danger involved. Can see to it that you are duly compensated.
Perfect. I'll wait to hear from you then.
Let me get in touch with a few of my colleagues. I'll contact you once I have spoken with them. Oh, and one last thing. If you happen across any valuable archaeological finds, I will be happy to purchase them from you. I pay more for Asnari relics than anyone else if I already have an item in my collection. My colleagues are certain to be interested.